Auburn's best case scenario when it comes to wide receiver, it's all about Perry Thompson.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into this special edition of Locked On Auburn. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brad Law over at the Auburn Sports Radio Network, as well as the host of Village Vice over at the Barn, Auburn. So be sure to check him out in all of those places. Brad, obviously there's a lot of returning starters as well as new names being added to this wide receiver room. But I think the best case scenario is you've got Cam Coleman, you've got Eric Singleton in whatever order, 1A, 1B. The best case scenario is for Perry Thompson to step up and be the true third option in this passing attack.
More so than Malcolm Simmons, you think?
I think Malcolm Simmons, you already know what he is, right? And so if you told me, hey, Perry's going to take that step forward that we all hope, that we all think that he can take, he just got to put it all together. If Perry surpasses Malcolm, think about the firepower that could happen in this room.
That's a great point, Zach. If Perry becomes your third option, or even your second option, but if he takes that leap, now you have a minimum of 4 guys, and you haven't even gotten into throwing the ball to the tight end. You haven't gotten into throwing the ball to a running back out of the backfield. And you and I have talked before in other places about does it look different? Do you throw the ball to the running back a little more? So the passing game is interesting, and the conditions are right for Perry Thompson to kind of take that step. He didn't go through spring last year. He came from Foley, where their offense was very different his senior year than it had been. They ran the ball a lot more, and it wasn't because he couldn't win one-on-one matchups, but there were some other issues they were facing. And so the learning curve for Perry was much different than it was for Cam Coleman or some other guys, even in other places, who come in as freshmen.
Well, and that's something I said over and over and over again last summer, where I said, hey, I know we're all excited about Perry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons, but hold on. They're true freshmen that didn't go through spring. You don't really see that. I was right about Perry. I was wrong about Malcolm Simmons. Thankfully so. Malcolm Simmons was absolutely incredible. But these guys are different types of receivers, and it's going to be interesting to see how they all mix and match together. Like, you've got Cam Coleman as your boundary guy.
Yep.
No question. But then, Malcolm and Eric are going to be key parts of this offense. No question about it. Their skill sets kind of similar, but you want them both on the field at the same time. And then if Perry steps up, like we all hope that he can, is Perry an outside guy? And then you kind of move Eric Singleton around formationally, and then you keep Malcolm in the slot. And do you take the tight end off the field and have both those guys at slot, or do you just rotate a bunch and have certain packages for certain guys? I mean, it's such a different spot than we were 2 years ago when it came to wide receiver, where it's like, oh my gosh, can one guy step up? And now all of a sudden it's like, well, you've got 6 guys, but really you only get like 3 or 4 relevant options of these 6 guys. So who's going to kind of win the market share of targets? It's just such a different world that this offense is living in.
Well, and then there's the Horatio Fields question, because from a stature perspective, they're similar. They're both 6'3". Perry's got about 15, 20 pounds more on Horatio. So, was Fields brought in as an insurance policy? Was he brought in to push Perry? Was it an either or? Was it a both situation? Like you said, you're not going to have more than, I don't think you have more than 4 receivers at the end of the year with significant game impacting catches and yardage. I just don't think you see that in many offenses, because you have a tight end and you have running backs. So, yeah, Perry making that jump, as one of the first really big splashes in recruiting, as one of the big head-to-head battles with Alabama early in the Hugh Freeze tenure. And he picks Auburn, and he comes in, and what a great story in year 2 for him to take that leap and become the significant part of the offense that we think he can be. He gives you another example to use out on the recruiting trail of guys that you develop and bring along and that are in state. I mean, There are like 8, 9 different arms of this that are good for Auburn if he has a breakout type of season.
Yeah. Perry is more than just a really talented wide receiver. He's kind of the first guy that you pried from Alabama, and you needed to work. You certainly needed to work. I'm there with you, especially when he comes from an area that Alabama has owned from a recruiting front. And for you to be able to go back to Foley and say, like, well, see, look what Perry's doing at Auburn. Come on, come play with him, or come, follow in his footsteps, or whatever that may be. But sounds like you're about to say, I want to ask you a question, but what were you about to?
No, I was just going to say that area in general, Mobile, Foley, Lower Alabama, that's such a rich environment that, whether or not you create a pipeline, just create a positive impact from that geographic region. Because the best Auburn teams, when the program has been at its highest in the past, they were getting talent regularly that was impacting the program from Mobile, from Lower Alabama in general.
Right. Is there a world where Horatio Fields and Perry Thompson can both coexist to be key parts of the offense? I have a hard time seeing it.
Yeah, I do too. That's why. That's why I wonder: was he the insurance policy
without like something happening to Eric or Cam, like an injury or something like that? I have a hard time seeing both of them kind of vie for that 3 through 4 or 5, fifth option in the receiving game.
Yeah, even if you go 10 personnel, who are your receivers?
I mean, I would think your outside guys are most likely going to be Cam and Eric.
Yep.
Unless Perry steps up or Horatio steps up and you move Eric inside. And then you'd have either Perry / Horatio outside, that Malcolm's your other slot guy. So it's like you got to have one. So like you can't have them both. Yeah.
Right. The 3 that come to mind first are Eric, Malcolm, and Cam. And your 4th is either, if you go if it's a true no tight end set, then it's either Horatio or Perry. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the other, you know what? I guess Horatio could come in and be that guy. Like, what if he comes in and is immediately the 3rd best option? That would it'd
be incredible. I mean, like that really, if you're saying he has a better impact on the offense than Malcolm, like, holy cow.
I'm saying, I don't know that that's likely.
I don't either.
But that would be what it would take for you to have. Well, actually, both he and Perry would probably have to do that for them both to be on the field at the same time.
That'd be a lot. Horatio, I think, is more likely to get slot reps than Perry, just because he got slot reps at Wake.
Yeah.
So I just, you look at them, he looks like an outside receiver, but we'll see how they use him. Is Eric Singleton so good they want to keep him outside, so they give Horatio snaps in the slot? Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Especially if like a tight end doesn't step up in that receiving role like they've had with Rivaldo for the last 2 years, and they kind of want that big slot mismatch in the middle. Like that could happen. That could totally happen as far as Horatio. So is it more likely that Horatio is the 3rd / 4th receiving option than Perry? It might be. And I don't know if that's like the best case scenario, but I do think it's the most likely scenario right now.
Will you see more often Cam and either Perry or Horatio on the field together, or Eric Singleton and Malcolm Simmons on the field together?
Eric Singleton and Malcolm Simmons.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
That's an easy, so dynamic.
Yep.
So dynamic. Okay. I want to kind of compare and project this upcoming season versus last season when it comes to roles and production.
Okay.
And I think this may answer some of our questions. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and they've got a ton of different types of bets to keep every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. You won. It's your money. You deserve it right away. And FanDuel's going to make sure that happens. FanDuel's got you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's at FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and of course, the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions. That's with a B. Billions in winnings. Prize Picks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, Prize Picks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all of the football action. So it's playoff time. There's no better way to get on the action. Here's how it works with FanDuel. You simply pick more or less on at least two players and their specific stat that's given in the app. And if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Yes, that's 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. Get ready to run your game this football season. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 off and play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Just $50 for playing. Insane. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. Brad Law hanging out with us for a few more minutes. When you look at last year's production, when it came to receptions, total catches, you had 4 guys with 30 or more receptions. KLS with 50, Malcolm with 40, Coleman with 37. Of course, Coleman missed a few games. And then Rivaldo Fairweather with 31. How many guys in this offense will have 30 or more catches? Will it stay at 4 or will that number go up? I think it goes up to 5.
It's a great question. I'm going to say that it stays at 4.
Okay.
Because the 5th highest reception guy last year was Jarquez, and that was 21. So to find another receiver, you go to Robert Lewis, who had 16. So will the 4th receiver have 14 more have a catch a game extra, average nearly 3 catches a game than what Robert Lewis got last year? I just don't know. I'm not saying they don't have the potential. I'm not saying that there's I just don't know that you throw the ball enough and spread it around enough.
Well, I guess my argument to that is I think they will run it less than they did a year ago. I don't think that they will be in situations where they feel like they need to give it to Jarquez Hunter, especially, like games like the Kentucky game and the second half of the season. But I'm also hoping that Auburn just runs more plays next year. And they have a devotion this offseason to get better on third down on both sides of the football. And if you're obviously better on third down on offense, your drives are longer, so you run more plays. And then if you're better on third down defensively, you get the ball back for your offense. So to me, I think everything's going to go up when it comes to just the size of the pie that we're splitting. I think the pie gets larger. Therefore, the pieces are larger. And I think you get another guy that steps up. Is that Preston Howard at tight end?
Yeah.
Is it a running back? I don't think so. Not in this system. But I think it could be any of these receivers that we've talked about.
That's a great, the tight end is such an unknown at this point. Does Preston or does Brandon Frazier, do those guys together, did they together get 30 catches?
Yeah.
I think so too. I don't know that one guy gets, but those two together. I
think one guy will. I think I don't think they'll split that role. I think it's going to be whoever wins it.
Interesting. Okay.
Unless they change how it is positionally.
Yeah.
And they give those Rivaldo Fairweather snaps to a Horatio Fields, like a larger receiver. That as of right now, going into spring, my understanding is that's not the plan.
All right. You think they'll pass it more than they did last year? Last year, Auburn had 773 plays and 369 pass attempts, 404 rushing attempts. So 35 or so more rushes than passes. And some of that is it's a called pass, but we got to scramble, or it's a sack. So it's like almost 50-50. Are you thinking 55-45, 60-40? Are you talking about a slight change or a really noticeable change?
I think 55-45 or 60-40 in favor of passing this year. I think that's going to kind of be as far as called plays, I think that'll be the plan. And we got to be careful when we say called plays because a lot of the stuff's RPO and it depends or whatever. But not scrambles, I guess, Yeah. But yeah, I think so. I think we see more of a slant in that direction. How many times did they pass it last year?
369 pass attempts.
Yeah, I just think that number goes up.
It's 30 a game, almost 31 a game over 12 games. And if you have more plays, do you get to 40? 40 passes a game?
Was that 10 more a game?
It's 9 more a game on average.
No.
And if you have more plays,
that's a lot. That's a ton.
25% more.
That's a ton.
Yeah. Okay.
My gut says no.
So say you add, and I know I'm going way deep down here, but if you add 6 passes a game, who are those 6 going to?
Man, I don't think they're all going to one person, right? I think it's going to be divided up. I would love for Cam to get another target a game. I'd love for Eric to get another target or 2 a game. Malcolm to get another target a game. Like over the course of a season, that's a big deal.
Yeah. No, you're right. Even if it's just 1 extra, that's 12 more opportunities. That's 12 more targets.
Yeah.
So if you make 9 catches, you could get another guy to 30.
I mean, we've talked about these games where Cam Coleman gets 8 targets, and it's like, yes, thank you. I mean, imagine an extra one of those like spread out throughout the season. That's a big deal.
Yeah. See, I think if you can throw 6 extra passes, I think 2 of those minimum should go to Cam. And then the other
I do too. And they say that they didn't do this on purpose, but I don't know if I believe it or not. But we saw over the course of the season, right, where they started throwing it to Cam more, whether it was by design or not. I think it's ridiculous for you to not own that, but whatever. It clearly worked. So hopefully they start that earlier next year.
Don't you think? Like he only had 2 catches against Alabama A&M. I'm a little surprised by that. But over the last 5,
one was a touchdown. The first one was a touchdown, right?
Yeah. Over the last 5 games, 4 catches, 1 catch, and then the last 3, 8, 7, and 7. 22 of his 37 catches came in the last 3 games of the regular season. That it looks all right, regardless of what it is. It looks intentional, and I'm here for it. I'm here for Cam.
It's not a bad thing. It's like, it took him a second. Catches. Like, Cam's our best receiver. Like, we needed to involve him. Like, everybody be like, yeah, okay, cool, sweet.
It's
great.
It's smart. It's the only why. I mean, of course you do that. He averaged over 100 yards a game and over 7 catches a game over the last 3. You project that out to a season, he blows past 1,000 yards, blows past it at the beginning, like early November. So absolutely give me Cam, and the numbers, if, and I know but if you go and project that, if they had been doing with Cam all year what they did at the beginning or at the end of the year, those splits look a lot different too. He and KLS finished with very similar numbers.
And you probably win an extra game.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Yep. Brad Law, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
AU Brad Law on X and AU Sports Network on X as well. We got a lot of good stuff from Tiger Talk to basketball game coverage and lots going on this time of year. Baseball soon, so we'll you'll be hearing a lot from us.
Yep, and Brad and I do a show 3 or 4 times a week over at the Barn, so be sure to check that out. That show is called Village Vice, so be sure to give that some love as well. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.